Sup everyone, this is Elijah from Financial Anatomy, the place where you'll learn how to take control of your financial destiny. On this channel we talk about apps that involve money and real estate. And recently I had the privilege of attending VidSummit, a summit made specifically for creative entrepreneurs, YouTubers, content creators, that kind of thing. And since I fit all three of those stereotypes, might as well go, especially since it literally was in my backyard of Dallas, Texas. But I thought it would actually be a fun idea and it would probably benefit a lot of people that are thinking about going to VidSummit next year in 2024. If I actually did a review of the whole event, my experience, the pros and cons, and also some advice I would give to new people that are thinking about attending. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and get into it. So right off the bat, I had a lot of fun with VidSummit. I made a lot of contacts. I mean, there's a lot of information I was able to absorb. And just to give full context for people who are not familiar with me, you already know that I have multiple YouTube channels. You can see them on the screen right now. So the concept of building a YouTube channel and how to do it, that's not necessarily new to me. And I still actually learned a lot of very good information at the event. Of course, I'm getting ahead of myself, so I'm gonna go ahead and start getting into the pros and the cons. So we're gonna start with the pros, and if you see me looking down, I'm looking down at my cheat sheet. Don't get mad at me, okay? So the first pro I have is obviously the information. So the way VidSummit is set up, when you buy your ticket, there are numerous speakers and presentations that's going on in multiple rooms at the same time. So when you're there, you are gonna have to pick which one you actually want to attend during that time frame. But you do have access to all the replays a few days after the summit. So don't feel pressured as in oh, if I don't see this speaker, then I won't see it at all. No, that's not the case. You can check, usually there's about 3 presentations going on at once. You can check the other 2 out during, at home doing the replay. The reason I say that is because depending on the topic, maybe you might go to a panel that has something about a topic that is a more networking opportunity. It draws a lot of people with the same problem in the same room. And when the discussion ends, you can do a lot of networking because all y'all are in this same room now. You might pick that over the other 2 that might have a more useful subject for your direct problems, but you can just get the info for that in the replays. So that's the first pro. Next pro, and I just got into it a little, is actually the networking. So I made a lot of contacts and had a lot of fun. In fact, this was kind of a point of contention because it's kind of a conflict. You got the awesome presentations, but you got the networking, and it's kind of hard to do both. You are going to do some networking by being in the rooms with people, but at the same time, what if you weren't in the room and you were just out in the hallways talking to everyone you can talk to? You're going to get a lot more networking done if you do it that way. In fact, I actually did meet Viper, the man about tech, because he was one of the, if I remember right, they called him MCs of the event. And I even asked him, I told him the same thing I'm telling you, and he was saying hey, it's a great event, but I'll be honest, the networking is the more powerful thing. So if you could do more networking than, sitting down and listening to presentations, that's gonna be powerful. Even he told me that. So I decided to go ahead and sit in a lot of the presentations because I wanted that experience. But when I go next year, I probably will do 75% networking, maybe 25% attending, the presentations. I also got a chance to meet Roberto Blake in person. I mean, he's been a mentor from afar for, a good minute now. I guess the theme of this year for me is reality, online meets reality, because a lot of my online idols that influenced me in some kind of way, even if it's in a different field, I've met this year. I met Sean Rakijish of Airbnb Automated, but his channel is just his name now. He's the one that kind of convinced me to give the Airbnb thing a try. I met DJ Hudi Mahatma earlier this year. Different area in terms of him influencing me, but he was one of the people that convinced me to go vegan online. I was already a vegan at the time, but he really added fuel to the fire. Then I met Roberto at the VidSummit, and he's very awesome in person. I mean, he's very talkative online, but he's very talkative in person too. He just gives a lot of game about just creative entrepreneurship in general, not just YouTube. This is a business, and how do you run it and how do you make money from it? So that was awesome. Next, we got the sales and the subs. So I got a lot of subscribers just from talking to people, and I subscribed to them back. And it wasn't necessarily a, hey, you subscribe to me, I'll subscribe to you kind of thing. Just through an organic conversation, we get to talking about our channels. What they're into is very interesting. Then they ask me what I do, I tell them, and then before we know it, we're subscribed to each other's channels. I say sales because I wasn't expecting this, because it's not like I set up a booth or anything, but I sold a lot of my book, The Anatomy of Financial Success, just by talking to people. So I wasn't expecting that, but that was refreshing. And when I say sold, I mean like literally they pulled up their phone, like found it on Amazon right in front of me and bought either the audio book or the Kindle book or the paperback. So yeah, that was a little unexpected, but definitely nice. And even though I don't have any proof of this, I don't really think that I was the only one. I think that a lot of organic conversations were happening. And if you had something to offer your audience as a creative entrepreneur, a lot of people will actually purchase your product or service. So that's pretty nice. I wasn't expecting that. Very good community focused. And last one in the pro section, I have focused and energized. So I'm someone that has never really struggled when it comes to motivation. I'm a pretty self-motivated individual. But one thing I want to give advice to people like me, if you're self-motivated, that doesn't mean that events like this don't have their place and can't play some role in your motivation. Because I can tell you right now, I've attended a few different events like this, but in different industries that I'm involved in. You attend this event and you get refocused and re-energized. So let's say your energy levels, even though you're self-motivated on a scale of like 1 to 10, it's like maybe a 6 or a 7. Every now and then you'll get to an 8, but go back to like 6, 5. And all you need is like a 5 or higher to go ahead and get off your butt and make something happen. But you'll attend something like this and it's like, boom, your energy level is like a 10. And if you've kept in contact with the people you made contact with and you ride that momentum, that energy level can stay at a 10 for like half a year. That has its place. So that's definitely a pro. So we can get into the cons now, and this will be like my critiques of the event itself. Right off the bat, I would say that, and this is more of a nitpick, it's not necessarily a con, but I'll go ahead and mention it. I think VidSummit could benefit from having an additional day. Because like what I said about the networking, right? You always got to pick between like going to hear the speakers and networking, and you do have access to the replays. But some other conferences, they do have like these little 30-minute or hour intervals between like sessions every now and then, where it's just like nothing else is going on in any room and it's just about the networking. If VidSummit was 4 days instead of 3, then I think that would be pretty cool, because they'll have some natural built-in networking in there while still giving all the panels and presentations. Now, I will say this in their defense, Tuesday, the first day, it's all about just registering. The lines are long. You'll be waiting in line for like literally 1 to 2 hours. And you're not just gonna stand there, at least I hope you're not. I mean, I didn't. You're gonna network, you're gonna talk to people. And once you're registered, they do have food available. So like that's kind of like the whole networking portion of the event. And then the other 2 days are about the panels and the speakers if you want to attend those. So a lot of networking can happen on the first day, but I'm just saying that format that I said, a 4-day format, it could have some organic networking kind of built in there. I think it could benefit from that. And another thing I'm gonna say, like these cons, some of these cons may warrant a higher price tag, as in they need to charge more, but I personally wouldn't mind paying that. I mean, you can't complain about something and then like when they come up with a solution, it'll cost more money. You're like, oh, I don't want to do that. I wouldn't mind paying more money for the cons I'm gonna go over. But like I said, that's more of a nitpick. Next con, so they do have food options, right? And they had, the best they did was a vegetarian option. And I have it on the screen so you can see, but I think that they should have vegan options. And I know you're gonna say you're biased because I've been vegan for 11 years. It's a little deeper than that. Like, especially when it comes to events like VidSummit, I think they have the ability to set like a tone. And one thing about online business or anything like that, you're sitting behind a computer all day a lot of times. And it's actually pretty unhealthy if you don't leave this desk, go walk around, go exercise, make sure you're eating right. And one thing that VidSummit could do to kind of be an example of like, just make sure you keep and track your health in an indirect way, is just by making healthier options available. As it stands, that was just the only option they had. Wasn't necessarily the healthiest of options. So if they had a vegan option, I think that would go a long way. Plus, if I'm gonna be honest, more people are going plant-based. So it is going to be on trend to a certain degree. So maybe next time and going forward, you have whatever option you have for the general public, but have a vegan option of some sort. Because I had to do some Uber Eats and I had to leave and come back a few times just for me to get something to eat. Since I'm a local, that's not a big deal. But if VidSummit was somewhere else and I had to do that, that would be just a tad bit inconvenient. But that's all the cons I have. So advice. My advice for VidSummit, I would say a lot of people might actually be intimidated to talk to the people that have helped them out so much online. Then they see them in person. It's like you're kind of hesitant to go over there and walk up and strike a conversation and talk to them. Like, don't be hesitant. I mean, I felt that before. I mean, when I first, met like people like Sean Rocky Geese and like DJ Hootie, like these people are multimillionaires and I'm just a six-figure earner. Like, can I really go over there and strike up a conversation? Then I reminded myself of everything I've done to get to where I am. And you know what? I'm gonna go over there and strike a conversation. Same with Roberto Blake. He's a higher six-figure earner approaching the mid six figures, if I remember right. I mean, just remember what you've done to get here. And let's say if you're just beginning, just use something I call the GRIP formula. G stands for gather intelligence, R stands for reduce resistance, I stands for initiate, and P stands for position. Forget the I and the P, that's not relevant here. But you go there, you gather information, you want to bring up all the things you have in common, which if you're at some conference and then you've known them a while online, you've got a lot in common. So bring that stuff up and avoid any kind of like differences, like talking about, unless the event is about like politics or religion or something divisive. And before you know it, you felt like you've known this person for a while. In fact, you may have already known them for a while, but here they are in person. So just go up and strike up a conversation. If anything, just say, hi, my name is such and such. I've watched you online. I'm grateful that I've learned a lot from you. I saw you here in person, so I wanted to just come and say hello. Handshake, and a conversation can just start from that. And when it comes to talking to your idols, make sure you have a list of people that you got to talk to at this event, because you may have to pick between them. And I am not joking. There's literally been a situation where like someone I've seen online and like actually purchased some of their material is over here, but then someone else is over here. It's like, you might not be able to talk to both of them. You got to pick one or the other, because by the time you finish with one, the other person may not be there anymore. So have a list of people who are like a priority to talk to. And then, your B list, like, okay, I've got all my A list done. Now the rest of the event, I'm going to try and talk to my B list. And you might miss some of that B list. Be content with that, because it's just a lot of people there. Make that A list a priority. Who's on your A list, that's completely up to you. A good example for me is a priority to meet Roberto Blake. And I have other people on my list, but I need to make sure that I needed to meet Roberto in person first, and then I can get to some of these other people. So that is the biggest form of advice I would give for VidSummit. Overall, I thought it was an awesome event. Definitely gonna be coming on an annual basis, even if they do move it out of Dallas, which they already said they're not, but let's say in 2025, it moves out of Dallas for some reason. I wouldn't mind traveling for this event, but I would give this, I guess, an A+ if I was giving it a rating. Well, I'll give it an A. If they add the vegan options I mentioned, it can definitely go up to an A+. But I wanted to make this video because I think it'd be fun to do, and a lot of people that are thinking about going to VidSummit, this will give you more information on it. And kind of like my VidSummit crew that I formed when I was there, I told them I was going to make this video, so if I don't make it, they're going to call me out on it. So the video is out, so they cannot say nothing. But with that being said, that does it for this video. If you have any interest in personal finance or real estate, consider subscribing so you can get a lot of awesome content on this channel. And if you have any questions about VidSummit, that's what the comment section is for. Leave it there and I'll get to it. I'll catch you in the next video. Don't forget to get out there and take control of your financial destiny.